Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Yarnflakes podcast. My name is Audrey and this is a knitty yarny podcast from the southwest of France. I am a knitwear designer and here I like to share everything that I make regarding the fiber arts that I am doing. So yes, hello. I hope you're doing very well. Thank you so much for joining me for this new episode. I have quite a few things to share, quite a few jolly things to share, projects I'm highly enthusiastic about. I'm in a mood. I'm in a bit of a crazy mood. So we are gonna roll with it. I have a lot of things to share. I have a new design release that I just want to quickly introduce you to. I also have another finished project, which was a test knit for a fellow designer. And I have a new work in progress, which I love. I have so much to say about this one. I absolutely adore it. And then we will have the return of the colorwork blanket. An old work in progress that I have started months ago. And it's the return of it. So yeah, quite a few things to share. So I'm gonna try to not be as rambly as I was on the French version of this podcast, which I have just finished recording. And oh boy, was it a mess. You're really getting the best of it because after I just splurged my whole mind in the French podcast episodes, then I record the English one, and so the thing is processed a little bit already, and so I'm able to summarize things, and I'm much more concise, I'm much more eloquent, and I'm not as messy. So you're the lucky ones. And except when I do this, because I seem to be starting again in the same way. Oh god. I'm in a mood. I'm in a really good mood, which is why I decided to record, because it hasn't been the case lately. I kind of feel like everyone is sort of on a what's the name in English? You know, the cookware thing that like a boiling pot, and it just starts to whistle and then it explodes. I feel like the whole universe is a little bit in that state at the moment, and I know I'm not the only one to have had weird interactions online with people who, like, you don't let them get to you, but at the same time it's sort of so yeah, I was a bit in a mood lately. And now I'm in a different mood, which I think it's much more enjoyable to watch if I record in that mood. But it also makes me a little bit messier, so I do apologize. And if this is the first time watching this podcast, I am very sorry. I apologize. It's gonna be messy. But yes, hello. Knitting yarn things. Going to start. So I'm going to put the timestamps to all the different sections of the podcast in the description down below. So if you want to skip anything, if you're not interested in any specific topic, feel free to look at that and select the sections of the video you would like to watch. I also put links to everything that I talk about, as well as my social media and my patterns for sale here and there. Hands. It's a hands day. I'm gonna calm down, I promise. Big breath in, relax. I'm going to start with a new design that, why am I so silly? It looks like I'm 12. Seriously, I'm almost 30 years old, and sometimes I have some mood swings, and it just feels like I'm child, but at the same time I don't really care, because you know that point where you're a teenager, so you're still a child, and so you really don't want to act like a child, but I feel like the older you get, the more you're so out of it that you're like, yeah, let's act like a child because that's fun. So that's sort of my mindset. You have been warned, okay? I'm gonna start with a new design that I just published on my Ravelry and Pay Hipster, and it is the sweater that I'm wearing. I'm gonna lift myself up so you can see it a little bit better. Here we go, climbing. Woo! You can see my socks. This is Loubelle, which is a big sweater. It is a drop shoulder shape sweater. It is knitted from the bottom up. You start with a split hem. So you knit them separately. You knit them in garter rib, which I absolutely love garter rib. I am someone who knits ribbing quite slowly. So this I really like because one of the rows is just knit. So the back one is longer than the front one. Then you join them in a round. You do some decreases here. So that, because sometimes split hems, they tend to do this. And I don't like this. I wanted them to lay sort of flat like this. So you do some decreases here. And then you work the body in the round in this texture motif. And so it's a really easy, mindless motif, as you can guess. It's just squares of stockinette, squares of striped, like broken stockinette with some purl rows. And they are separated with columns of garter stitch with some bubbles. And the bubble method that I use, it's the one that I always use. It's the one that you just make them all in one go. You don't need to go back and forth. There is a video tutorial in the pattern. It's the same bubbles that are on my Imelda Shawl, on the Atlantica sweater, which was published in Pom Pom. I know quite a few people are knitting Atlantica, which I'm so happy about, and getting a bit confused at the written instructions of the bubbles. So it's just the simple bubble. But there's a video tutorial if you need it. And then, yeah, it's just so easy because once the squares are set, you just know where you are. So you just start knitting here and you're like, oh, I'm on a stockinette part, so I'm just knitting the stockinette. And then you can just count the rows of purls just to know when you need to switch. So this is charted and there are different charts for every size, okay? I chose, when grading the sweater, to make this motif bigger rather than add more squares, because this just made more sense to have a coherent size range. And I was also afraid that on the larger sizes, having lots of squares, it would look too heavy. So I wanted to keep the same look of big squares throughout the sizing so that the sweaters looked similar, whether you knit them with a 150 centimeters bust or whether you knit them with a 90 centimeters bust. And they are, so that's why each size has its own chart. So yes, you knit until the armholes, you put some stitches, you have here on the side some stockinette thing, splitting. You put this on hold, you knit the front and the back flat separately, you do some German short rows to shape the shoulders, 3 needle bind off the shoulders. The neckline is picked up. As you can see, the neckline is pretty wide. You can see here. You can easily adjust however you want, making it tighter, making it smaller. It's knitted in garter rib again. If your row gauge is different, you can just pick up less stitches. You just need a multiple of 2. It's really easy to adjust. Then you pick up for the sleeves. The sleeves are meant to be really wide here at the top. So it's written in the pattern, but you may need to change needle size. It was found during testing that some of my testers if they were using the same needle for the motif and for the stockinette, the stockinette gauge was completely off. So in the pattern you have both gauges, so make sure when you're knitting the sleeves that they are the size that you want. You can easily make them smaller, that's not a problem. If you want, just pick up less stitches. They have on the top here just a reminder of the garter stitch with Bobble motif up until the cuff, and they are decreased here along the top. It's something that it made more sense, and I started doing it as well on other designs. It's such a big chunky sweater, and I thought that the dropped shoulder looked better if the decrease were here on the top of the sleeve rather than at the bottom. It just makes it a little bit smoother, so to say, and it allows here that you don't have, like, it's quite free here since there's not the decreases. And yeah, I just liked the look of it better. And they are until the cuff, which are quite fitted and garter rib again. So yes, this is Loubelle. It's a big sweater. I knitted mine out of Cyrano from their Room Natura, which is their iron/bulky weight yarn. It is really thick yarn. This is more a garment that I'm going to wear as instead of a coat in between seasons. The crow is back. I have a crow which sometimes come here and just stares down at our house from a tree, and it just stays there. And it's funny. Until it's not, but yeah. What was I saying? Yes, it's a big cozy sweater. The yarn is non-superwash woolen spun merino, so it's big, it's plump, it makes a pretty dense sweater, which still has some drape to it and some lightness to it because it has a lot of ease. I'm wearing it with 30 centimeter ease, which is a lot, and yeah, it's because it's so heavy, the yarn is still flowy enough. Now, I highly recommend that you check out my testers versions because it's gonna give you an idea of how different you can make this look. So if you don't want as much ease as I do, which yes, you can, like you will see some knitters from across all the sizes that have a lot of ease, and I think it looks great. I know there's sort of a cliche that larger busts people shouldn't have big cozy garments with ease. I think people can just do whatever they like. And yeah, it's just it's really a matter of taste, and especially if that taste is conditioned in your brain by society standards regarding women's bodies, maybe people can just do what they want. So I recommend the sweater to be worn with a lot of ease. But if you want less ease, say if you only want 10 to 15 centimeter, 4 to 6 inches, something like this, it's totally doable because the sleeves are so wide. It's not a problem. However, I do recommend, if you want less ease, to pick a yarn that is lighter. And for example, a lot of my testers used a combination of unspun yarn like Plotulopi or Nutiden with a strand of lace weight mohair yarn, and it's gorgeous. It works so well. It makes the most beautiful cozy sweater. It's a completely different type of garment. It looks amazing. So yes, that is my advice. If you want, I'd say, less than 25 centimeter ease, which is 9¾ inches ease. I'm getting better at this. I'm starting to, I've graded so many patterns now that I'm starting to memorize metric to imperial conversions. So if you want less ease than that, I do advise against picking up a yarn like the one I used, because it's gonna be too stiff, right? This yarn works for big garments, and it's really, really lovely yarn. I absolutely adore its definition. And Derehom Natura, they have a gorgeous range of colors, and I think they added new ones in the Serrano one. I think there's Tempest, which is like a really dark blue, absolutely stunning. And yeah, I'm really amazed at how different the sweater looks if you're trying different yarn combination. And yeah, if you're curious, do check out on Ravelry my testers versions, because they all look very interesting, and it can sort of give you an idea of what you can do if you like to use the Protulopi or Nutiden yarns as well. So yes, I think I've said everything regarding this design. I really hope you like it. I like it a lot. I just had this vision of this square thingy, and I really liked it. It's really easy to knit. It's super quick, like I said. It's like Aran borderline bulky way. I knitted mine using 5.5mm needles, so you can guess how quick that was. And yeah, it's really keeping me super warm, so I'm gonna take it off right now. But yeah, I hope you like it, and if you do, oh god, if you do, there is a little discount on Ravelry for the release, which is 15% off with the code Loubelle. The back is also in the texture panel. Yeah. I think that's it. It's available on Payhip as well, as usual. And yeah, it's if you are looking for a big cozy knit, if you like me, you like to wear big sweaters or cardigans instead of coats, like when the season starts to, I know I'm saying this and like half of the United States are under a heavy snow. I'm guessing if you're watching this, you're not in such a bad situation since you have internet. I hope you're all okay. I know how it is to be paralyzed by snow when you don't have the infrastructure for it. So it's so, yeah, it's like there's this of snow and suddenly everything stops, but it's because, yeah, you're not used to it. And so you don't have the money invested to it. So I hope you're all okay, staying safe, and yeah. When the snow goes away, maybe you would like a big sweater. So yeah, to sort of mark the transition towards warmer weather, or if you're in the southern hemisphere right now, maybe is the time where the weather starts to just get a little bit colder, but not cold enough that you would want a full-on coat and jacket and everything. So that's it for my newest design. I am going to continue with a finished work in progress, which is a test knit I did for Nadia Crétin-Lechen, which is Switzerland-based indie designer. She designs a lot of pretty things. You may know her for her shawls, but she also designs quite a few garments. And I put myself on her test list because I like to test knit for other people, even if it bothers them. But at the end of December, she put out the test call for this. And what on earth is that? Okay, I have some vegetable matter of yarn everywhere. I think if people get an X-ray scan of my lungs, they would be scared because I must have a whole flock in there. So she put a test call at the end of December for this, which is the Ferndale cardigan. And when you're watching this, it is already available. And look at this beauty. So it is a raglan cardigan with a V-neck and this cable panels on the front. I absolutely loved it. So I decided to test knit it because it was knitted in Deronnatoires Gilead. So that's the worsted version. So the same woolen span, non-superwash French merino, which I love, but in a worsted weight. So it's a round yarn. It has, I love how it looks in cable. I mean, look at this. I've already said how much I love non-superwash cables. This is just perfect. It's really, really fun to work and easy. You have different charts for every sizing for this portion here, where you increase for the raglan and the v-neck, so you don't have to overthink about how to incorporate the cables. It's all written for you. The cables themselves are really easy. Once you split for the problem with this color is that it attracts everything, right? Every bit of dust, every bit of wool ends up on it. Once you split for the body and sleeves, it's just an 8-row repeat, and it's so nice and easy going. Funny thing, this cable here, I realized afterwards that it was the same one as the one in my Oceanborn designs. So this is the headband design I released at the beginning of January or at the end of January. There's a scarf and there's the headband, and it's the same cable, except I didn't realize because this cable, I saw it and I worked it as a half basically, and I just stuck it together. And so I have a purl stitch in between. Here there isn't, but it's actually the same. So that's why I like this so much, because it sort of reminded me of it. And since the charts are not set in the same way, I just didn't notice until very late that it was the same cable indeed. And I really like it because of the sort of double inception kind of thingy. And yeah, so the back is all stuck in that. And yeah, I had this yarn in my stash and I did plan to make a design with it, but I couldn't find the right idea. Because the yarn is so dark, you can't see it. It's not the right color. It's much darker in real life. It's a little bit closer to what you can see here in the shadow. And I know I love dark knits. Black, deep burgundy, intense forest blue, almost black marine blue. I love it. Marine blue, navy blue. Who say marine blue in French? Or you can say marine. Well, you say more aquamarine, but do you say marine for the navy blue as well? I don't know. I love, but designing in darker colors, I know it's not great, because then some people, they don't see the details. Depending on the brightness of the screen you're looking at, sometimes you can't see anything. So I couldn't get the right idea for this yarn. So when I saw this test knit call, I thought, I'm just gonna do it because I love it. I'm gonna wear it so much. Like, you sort of have the right color now. And it's gorgeous. I absolutely love the result. I usually never wear cardigans closed, but I think this one looks good, even closed. So I might wear it both ways. I just put some simple black buttons, have some ease. So yeah, it's a really simple garment, and it just makes a really wearable thing. I think I'm gonna get tons of wear out of it. It looks great with a jean. It looks great with all over dresses. Yeah, I really love it, and the color is perfect. yeah, see, like I said, she released it. When you're watching this, she released it already. So the pattern is already available on Nadia's shops. So she is NCL _ knits on Instagram if you want to find her. But yeah, yes, I think that's it. I'm gonna keep it on for the rest of the podcast. And I don't know why I'm singing. I need to calm down. I keep, like, my thoughts keep wandering everywhere. It's a nightmare. I just realized that when I publish this podcast, the day after, one of my very favorite bands is gonna finally release their newest album. They've been teasing it. All the songs that they have shared so far are great, and I can't wait. It's Epica. If you're curious, it's symphonic metal, so you need to like operatic and symphonic music mixed with heavy drums and metal riff. It's one of my favorite bands. They have a new album, and I love all the songs so far, so I'm really excited. And I need to stop talking about everything besides the point of this podcast, which is knitting. My next work in progress. I am so happy about. I should really, what I should be doing is knit summer designs. But before, I'm gonna do it, obviously, but before doing that, I just wanted sort of a palette cleanser thing. I just wanted to rest my mind a little bit and relax and make a project that is a little bit more free and just different. And lately I'm really into patchwork things, like mixing textures, mixing colors, just going a bit random with things. And I had ordered this yarn. So Laine des Îles, which is a French yarn shop which distributes a lot of Scandinavian / Nordic / British wools. If you're in Europe and you're struggling to find brands like Hillsvag, Tukuwu, Snaildan, they have blacker yarns as well, things like this. They have a lot of them. They also have their very own yarn, which is a BFL, decay wet yarn, which is amazing. You'll see more of it soon. And they are stocking some Hillesvag yarn. Hillesvag is, I'm very sorry for Norwegian folks there, I'm trying. Hillesvag is a Norwegian mill, spin mill from the 19th century, I think. It's great. And they have a range of a ton of different yarns. Now, if I understood correctly, there are some yarns which are pure lamb's wool from the Pelsul sheep, and then they have some yarns which are a mix of that and a mix of Goatland, and then some yarns are the same yarn but they have a different name because some of them are undyed natural colors and some of them are dyed colors, and it's just a bit confusing. So they have a bunch of different yarns with a bunch of different weights, and Laine des Îles stocks quite a few of them, and they added Varde, which is an Aran weight yarn. It's their Gotland Pelsul mix, and it's Aran weight. It has 200 meter to 100 grams. And when Laine des Îles, so Yasmin, which is the owner of Laine des Îles, sorry, I kicked the tripod here. Yasmin, she posted a picture of a bunch of the colors of Varde that she was stocking, and she had 4 colors, and I just thought they looked amazing together. So unfortunately, one of the colors in question was out of stock, so I just tried to reproduce something similar, and I picked up these 4 colors. And isn't it amazing? So I have this burgundy, which is gorgeous. So if you've never seen or touched Gotland yarn, it's great. It has a metallic shine to it. It's amazing. I find it soft personally. It blooms a ton, but it's really funny. It has a hard feel when you're knitting with it. It's sort of, if you've ever held Lurex sort of shiny metallic things, it's sort of, and it looks like that as well. So maybe that's why I'm making the connection. But gorgeous job. Gorgeous, gorgeous color. Burgundy. So 2-ply, by the way. Is it? Yes. No, it's not. What am I saying? How many? Yes, it is. You can't really tell because... Is this 1-ply or is it 2? I think it's 2. Anyway, it blooms and it's a bit hairy and things, so it's a bit difficult. Then you have this brown, which is trying to get the... Yeah, it is a greenish sort of brown. Yeah, it's sort of like this. It's really, really nice and pretty. You have a green, which is like a yellowy type of green, which really makes me sick if I hold it close to my face, but it makes me look sick, not sick. And then, obviously, who here is shocked? No one. I got the rust color. So beautiful. And so, my idea was to just make something without overthinking it. I wanted to make a shawl. And I wanted to mix a ton of different textures and blend the colors together and just make something a little bit random. And maybe it's not gonna be the most perfect thing. It's not gonna be such a classy, minimalist accessory. But it's so much fun to knit. I wanted something that would be really fun to knit and trying different things and just... you know, switching from one texture to another and maybe trying out new things. If you've never tried these techniques, just, you know, experimenting a little bit. And so I usually plan designs ahead. I do give myself quite a lot of freedom when I design something. It's like I'm gonna set a few things, but if in the middle of the design I change my mind about the hem of a sweater or the shape of a sleeve, I'm gonna do it. But I always have something in mind and set beforehand. Here, no. What I did is that I cast on the stitches. And then I did whatever stitch motif I would find and want to try. Whatever crossed my mind, I did it. And so the first motif I did was this. So I put in place a ni-cord border here, the increasing border here, and here's what I have. I just did a simple, I wanted something simple to start with, and I really like the waffly effect of this double moss stitch. Yes, it's sort of double moss stitch, it's wide and tall double moss stitch. So yeah, in the burgundy color. And then I was tired of this, so I switched to this, which is really fun. So the thing with this process is that I have to restart sections 3 or 4 times at least. So far, this is what have been happening, because, you know, when you're planning something, you're able to visualize how it's gonna go, and if you need certain setup rows so that it doesn't mess up the previous colors, or if you need to arrange things in a certain way. And since I'm just going on a whim, sometimes I work a couple of repeats, I look at it, and I think, I have to arrange the colors differently, I can make it better. So yeah, I kept restarting quite a few times the different sections. And this is a tuck stitch, so it's sort of like brioche, but it's only brioche on one stitch. So, you know, when you do brioche, you put a yarn over a slipped stitch, and then you alternate, and then on the next row you actually knit that slipped stitch with its yarn over. Here, what you do is that you keep adding yarn overs to the same stitch and dragging it over 3 or 4 rows, and it's just that one stitch which is a brioche stitch. And I find it really funny to work. That was really entertaining. So this is like the wrong side, and this is the right side of the motif where I found it. I found it in Nancy Marchand's Tuck Stitches dictionary, by the way. But I had to sort of twist it so that this side was on the right side of my shawl because I preferred it. So as you can see, I'm continuing the I-cord border here, and there's a little thing when changing colors, which will be written in the pattern, is that you have to work the border first with the previous color and then change colors, which means when you're changing sections and cutting the previous color, you need to work first the first row of the first section and then cut the yarn. It will be written in the pattern. But yes, so I like brioche. I'm not a huge fan of it. I have some, I did a few things with brioche, but the thing is, even if it's the traditional looking brioche, which has some motifs done by increasing and decreasing, I like that, but it's still a bit too repetitive for my taste. And I'm looking for something that will spark my joy for it, because right now when I'm knitting brioche, it's too repetitive, and it sort of feels like it's just stockinette or just garter stitch, which sometimes I want to be doing. But yeah, I'm not finding that thing in brioche that keeps me going, and I'm looking for it. I'm looking at designs that come up and trying to see what I would like to do, and maybe it's something that I need to do with the colors. Yeah, I just need to figure out a way to enjoy brioche. And this is really fun because it's not simple brioche. It's yeah, the other rule with that shawl was that the motifs were supposed to be simple to work, as in small and short repeats. That way, once you've done a couple of them, you have it in your mind and you don't need to keep looking at the patterns, and you just keep going. And so it's fun, and you keep changing things, and you have something to look forward to, but at the same time you're not constantly focused so much on the instructions. And this was exactly that, and it was really fun to drag that one stitch and keep adding, stacking yarn overs on it until eventually you do brioche knit it, and you can see it here. And yeah, I just made this sort of square thingy, which I really liked. Then I switched on to a different section, which was lace. And this is the most complex lace so far. I mean, just because it has a specific chart and something to incorporate the border here. But it's still very simple. I do think I'm going to repeat this because I think I want to finish the shawl with the lace in the brown color. I think the shawl will be finished like this, with a large section of the lace in the brown color. And yeah, so this is the lace, simple. Then I wanted something a little bit like a textured rib, and I did this. It's like a partial garter rib, partial twisted stitch thing. I do really like it. The thing with this, right, as I'm changing motifs, I keep, like I said, the motifs, I really enjoy them, and I'm making them, and I'm like, this is cool, and stuff. And I keep letting my brain think about them and picture them into different designs. And so some of these motifs I absolutely adore, and I am thinking of using them in larger designs. Like this in particular, I think would look really nice as an all-over pullover motif, maybe with the mohair thingy. Yeah. And then my favorite motifs of all, this one I absolutely adore, and it's this. So this is amazing. This is again the same thing as this one, with the one brioche stitch that you keep adding a yarn over. You keep adding a yarn over to the one stitch. It's this one here, this line here. in the end, it has like 6 yarn overs over it. And then you finally knit it and it's great. So this uses 3 colors and I love it because it blends brioche and a tweed effect as well, you know? As you can see, some of the colors are bleeping through because you have been knitting on the wrong side when changing colors, so that's what it does. And it's just fantastic. I'm really thinking of making an all-over pullover with this, or maybe just put it in a yoke, I'm not sure, but I absolutely love it. I'm just considering which colors I could use. I really love it, and it's really fun to work. Really, really fun to work. And yeah, so after that section, I just wanted to put a little bit more burgundy, because why would you not? I did a garter rib, and then I did a 3-color moss stitch. You can see here, this part here, with rust, green and brown. Since this is a little bit more heavy looking, I just did a thin layer. And so that's the thing, right? I want it to be quite, yes, it's a patchworky design, but I don't want it to look too heavy either. So I'm trying to alternate big section and then small sections of the heavy stuff. And finally, I am right now at the bubble point. Yes, I have put bubbles again. I am sorry for it, but yeah, not really. So I just did a few stockinette rows of the brown and I just inserted some bubbles in green, and then I did a blip of the green color on the wrong side. And I'm gonna repeat that again once, I think, maybe with a little bit more brown stockinette. I don't know. I love it. I absolutely adore it. It's very rare. I did mention this already. It's very rare that I look at one of my designs and I'm like, perfect. I'm not saying perfect. I don't think anything is ever perfect, especially when it's me who made it. But I just think, wow, it looks so cool. And I really, really love it. Look at it. Maybe I can show it to you fully. And it's great. So it's gonna be big, right? Because it's not finished at all, and it's already a full arm span, and it's Aran weight. It's so beautiful. Oh my god. I really hope you like it. I put a picture on my Instagram of just the colors before I started knitting, and people liked that picture so much. So I'm a little bit stressed now, because I barely showed this. Like, I showed it to a few people, to a couple persons, and then I showed just glimpses of it in my stories. And so I'm really hoping that I didn't overhype it, and that now that you actually see it, you're not gonna all be like, oh, it's ugly. But yeah, I really like it. I just love big shawls. You know, it's the perfect excuse, since apparently you cannot go out in society just wearing your blanket over you. I don't see why, but apparently it's a thing. So if you put a really big cozy shawl, it's sort of the same thing. And I just really like it. And yeah, I'm really, really enjoying it. It's really fun. And I'm really in the mood to make more things like this, and I absolutely adore it. And so I'm making sure, I'm being very careful to only use one skein of each color. So I'm keeping a few leftovers for myself, because sometimes with the different row gauges you can use different amounts of yarns. So I want to have a few yarn left over for me. That way I'm sure that everyone will have enough of one skein. So it's going to be really, if you use the same type of yarn, it's going to be quite affordable as well. And I just love it. You can also do it with, well, you do need 3 colors. Minimum of 3 colors. Although you can do this with, well, you'll have to change the design, but yeah. And I think any yarn is great. You know, oh my god, it's so beautiful. The colors of it. It's the colors are amazing. Oh my god, that metallic sheen. It's so beautiful. I am anticipating taking the pictures of this design so much, because if I fail at making them justice, making the colors justice, I'm gonna be so mad. But yeah. I have a problem, because this is an Aran weight shawl, right? If I put it to testing now, I'm gonna release it in May, and I'm like, I don't know, because I'm usually not someone who likes to depend on seasons, because seasons are different everywhere across the world, and also a design does not disappear 2 weeks after it was launched, right? But the thing is, I know that if I release a design completely out of season, it's not gonna get as much visibility, and I would be a bit sad, because I love this so much. So I don't know what to do. And yeah, it's a bit of conflicting thing, because I make a lot of patterns, right? So I talked about this in the French episode. How did I get there? I don't know. I don't know if I should release it now and risk it not being seen as much. The thing is, in my soul, I don't put patterns there considering that everyone is going to buy them, right? So there's regularly some talks about productivity and the sort of pressure of social media and consumerism tactics and everything, tactics like influence and everything. And yeah, I totally get that. I think we all do. The thing is, when you're looking at someone who you think is super productive, first of all, that is all relative, right? Someone is going to feel like one project a week is too much. For other people, they're going to be like 2 or 3. And yeah. And you have to put things in context. Like, this is my full-time job. I'm on it 7 hours a day, 5 days a week. And I'm not overworking myself, right? So I deleted the thing that was causing me issues, which was I had problems with deadlines that were uncertain because they were not set and dependent on me and myself and my little person. That really stressed me out. So I removed that. And now that's why I decided to not collaborate anymore with other people in a classic way. I know it's difficult to understand, but it works better for me. And so now that I'm just me, myself, and my designs and planning them as I want, I realized, and I thought about it one day recently, that I should really force myself considerably not to work in order not to have designs ready at the rhythm that I do now, because I'm not that fast. Like, I'm reworking design a bunch of times to get them right. I'm taking afternoons off, some days I'm like, I'm not feeling it, I'm not gonna be able to do my best at this right now, so I'm just gonna spin all afternoon. Who cares? And even in that rhythm, I'm still able to make a lot of designs, and I know I'm super productive to some. But yeah, it's my full-time job. I don't have a family to care for. Well, I do have dogs, and my mother, who is... she has health issues. She's losing sight. Well, she's not losing sight. She just has a problem. A temporary problem, but it's funny. It's not funny, but it's sort of is, because we're making a lot of puns about eyes and things, and yeah. Anyway, I don't have kids, that's what I meant to say. I don't have kids to take care of, and I usually, even in general, I'm not the person who will go out at night clubbing and thing. I don't even have time to spend with my boyfriend, because I haven't seen my boyfriend in almost a year because COVID. So and so maybe that will change, but right now, I do a lot of patterns because I have a lot of time, and I know that it's difficult, and I have that too. Seeing other people, especially on social media, and seeing all the things that they do, and you're like, why can't I do that? Why am I not able to produce as much? Blah blah blah. Because we're all sort of ingrained with the capitalist mindset of be productive. But if you're a mom of 5 and you have 2 other jobs, you will not do as much as someone who doesn't have the same situation as you do, and that's just normal. And I really think we should not project on other people our own insecurities. If someone is making me feel bad, and that happens to me, I think that happens to everyone. Someone's making me feel bad because I look at all that they're doing and I'm like, oh my god, I wish I was that good or that productive or this or that or that. It's not their fault if I'm feeling bad. It's about how you put this into yourself. And I don't like when people are blaming others, because it's all about what makes you feel good, right? This is a hobby. And yes, of course, it's not because it's a hobby that it cannot be serious and that it is not infiltrated with the problems of society in general, right? On the contrary. But it's still a hobby. It's still about making things that make you happy in the way that make you happy. And for some people, it ends up being a lot more or a lot less than others in terms of quantity, in terms of time available for it, right? So where I'm going with that is that I know I produce a lot of patterns. That's a fact. That is because with the rhythm of life I have now, that is how I work. The thing is, I like a lot of different things. So I like to design color work, I like to design cables. Sometimes I like to design simpler, minimalist stockinette thing, socks, everything. It doesn't cross my mind that when I release so many patterns, everyone in the knitting community, or even everyone in the community of people who are following me, should buy them, right? All at once. Or you should all buy all of my designs. No, I don't think like that, because you're not liking every one of my designs, are you? If you are, I'm sorry. If you are liking all of my designs and you want to buy and make them all, I'm sorry. I advise you to go through Patreon because it's cheaper, or maybe wait when I have my birthday sale. It's June the 1st. My favorite types of chocolate is with hazelnut. Just saying. Just joking. Do not send me stuff. What I mean is, even the designers whose work I love 99% of what they do, Andrea Mari, Sari Nordlund, Levge from Fiber Tales, I like 99% of what they do. I'm still not feeling like I have to buy all their designs and I have to make all of them, even if I like them, even if I would make them, even if I would wear them. That is not the thing. So yeah, when I put out so many designs, I put 2 designs a month. I don't think that everyone is gonna buy them. I don't understand why you would feel, well, I do understand why you would feel pressure by the consumerism and everything, because we all feel, I feel it, like, yeah, sometimes I'm gonna see a design on Instagram over and over and over, and it's gonna slowly roll, and it's in my head, so I'm gonna think about it, and maybe I'm gonna feel like I want to make it, even if from the start maybe I wouldn't have. But it's all about how we ourselves interact with these things. So yeah, I don't think we should feel bad when someone is super productive, or we should feel bad because we feel like we have to buy so many things all the time, because that's not the point. That's never the position I'm in. I never consider that people are gonna buy everything that I make, because some of you don't like color work, some of you don't knit accessories, some of you don't knit garments, some of you just like cable, some of you just like stockinette. And the thing is, there is room for more, and the mindset I am in when I'm designing is that I want to make something available, right? Because I think a lot of people, that's how we started designing, right? It's my case anyway. I've been knitting for a long time, and then I had an idea of something and I wanted to make it, so I looked for a pattern for it. I didn't find it, and so I made it. And it's sort of that thing. And so maybe it's putting too much importance on me and on other knitwear designers, but what I want to do when I design pattern is I want it to exist for the person who will want who will want the design whenever they want it, you know? And that's the thing. So that's a bit the problematic that I'm in, because I don't want to make people feel bad because they want to knit too many things. So what should I do? Should I not design as much? Should I be sad because I would be bored? Because again, I'm not forcing myself. Should I? Well, that would have some implications financially, some certain months if I didn't design. If I deleted some of my designs, that would be problematic for me. And then what about the person who maybe would have wanted this design that I decided not to do so that I wouldn't overcrowd the mind of others? What about them? Like, I'm not, don't worry, I don't have a head like this, and I don't think I'm that important. But precisely, that's the point. It's not that important. It's a hobby. It's about bringing something that maybe someone will like and that will bring some sort of satisfaction to that person. And so I'm always in the mindset of the more the merrier, given that you work on them and that they're all as good as they possibly can be, and that it's not just about splurging designs all the time with minimal work on them. But I'll be honest, I don't think that is the case for most of the people. So that's sort of the dilemma that I'm in. My mindset when I'm making a design is never to consider that it should sell to everyone on the week of its release. That is never the mindset. But at the same time, if I mess up the timeline and I release it off season and then it doesn't get as much visibility and maybe people will not see it even though they would have liked it, etc., then it's a bit disappointing as well. And so it's like it's the two things. I don't know. I'm considering just keeping the shawl, keeping it for a few months and then releasing it in the autumn. I could do other things as well. I could give it to my Patreons in the meantime. Before its official release, I'm thinking of different things about this. So, but it's not even finished. So let's finish it first, and before I'm going to completely get tired of it and it's never going to be finished anyway. So put that out there, because I really like knitting on it. It's just such a joy. You know, I'm just, making a section, finishing that section. Okay, what do I want to do now? Thinking, what kind of texture, trying to imagine certain things, making up some ribbings, flipping through Stitch dictionaries or past designs of mine and thinking, yeah. I'm really, really enjoying working on it. I love it. And I hope you will too, whenever it's released. Now, talked too much again. I'm gonna move on to my last work in progress, which is the blanket. Yes. So, a few months ago, I started knitting a colorwork blanket because, and I explained that back at the time, I really like the idea of knitting blankets, but I don't like having a massive project on the needles and it being so big and so heavy all the time. And I found Jenise Hope, which is a designer. She designs a lot of things. She designs some huge projects, right? Which are big colorwork blankets or shawls. And I love them. She's super talented. It's brilliant. It's really cool and unique. And I decided, I think it was in September, I decided to knit one of her blanket designs, which is called Persian Dreams. And I'm knitting up the worsted weight version because I'm not that insane. And then I let it in its project bag in a closet closed for 4 months, 3-4 months. Because I got distracted and I wanted to knit other things. So there's that. So what I suggest is that we all forget that this ever happened. And there's like a time skip, all right? No, I did not let that work in progress sleep forever. You are wrong. You are confused. I started it last week. What are you talking about? So, please pretend with me. So, the blanket is, look, it's matchy-matchy. I noticed it earlier. Funny. It happened as well when I released my Sauron sweater, which is a colorwork yoke with a motif that sort of looks like eyes, hence Sauron. I also was wearing different earrings, but also with eyes on them. And it was just a funny coincidence because it's never thought, I didn't do it on purpose. And yes, I have a lot of jewelry with eyes. I think it's the generation of people who read a series of unfortunate events when they were pre-teens and teens. We are obsessed with eyes. So blame Lemony Snickets, not me. If you have kids and they haven't read a series of unfortunate events, it's really great. You should give it to them. If you're an adult and you like reading young, targeted literature, it is great as well. The Netflix series is good. It was funny. I liked it. Now, blanket. So, I am knitting the Persian Dreams worsted weight version by Jenise Hope. And it consists of different hexagons that you knit separately. So that's why I thought it would be perfect, because I like seaming. I don't dislike seaming. It's not a problem for me. So a blanket that would be piece by piece and then sewn together, that seemed the right thing for me. And so indeed, you knit 24 hexagon shaped thing. So you knit them in the round like this. You start with the circular cast on and then you knit your colorwork like this, increasing to make this hexagon shape. And yeah, I'm really happy because I was wondering if I would still enjoy it so much after just letting it sleep in the bag forever. And no, that didn't happen. What am I talking about? Indeed, I still like it a lot. it's really enjoyable. The color work is fun. You have some floats to catch from time to time, but it's okay. The motifs are cool. So you have different charts, right? You have 8 motifs, I think. I'm not sure. There's a separate pattern as well on Ravelry with extra charts if you want more designs to choose from, which is nice. I just have the original design, and so I'm just making the original charts, and there's 8 of them, I think. And the pattern tells you this chart you make 2, 3 versions. So this is the first one, and I had to make 2, so I made the 2. Yay! So that's done. The first chart is done. Now the second chart, some of them need to have a border, because when you're gonna seam the blanket, some of the hexagons are going to be in the border, and so these ones have to have a border. And the pattern is very concise, it's very clear, but when you read it ahead, it's a bit confusing. And that's often the case with me. When I'm reading a design instructions, I'm always like, I don't understand the thing. But when I'm knitting it, it just makes more sense. So this is the second hexagon motif. I really like this one. It's a bit more ornamental. And then on this one, I'm supposed to make 3, I think, and 2 of them must have 2 borders. So basically, since it's an hexagon, right, it has 6 parts, the pattern tells you make a border for this amount of parts. So this was just, this was just 2, like 1, 2. And another one is going to have 3. And it depends where you're going to seam them later. There's a totally different PDF explaining you just how to seam. And I don't understand the thing when I read it, so I'm going to wait until I'm there. Because it's definitely going to make more sense. So yeah, then all the other stitches, you put them on hold, right? And you only bind off the ones that will be on the edge after the border. It's like a moss stitch thing that slowly merges. And yeah, so this is the first one of chart 2, and I'm knitting the second one here. So you can sort of see how you make them in the round, and it's really fun. So it's knitted in worsted weight. I'm using Hertegarn. I'm sorry, that's a Danish brand. Lima, which is a pure Highland wool superwash. It's good enough for color work. It's sturdy. It's fine. The original design is multicolored. I decided to only do a black and white version just to ease myself into the crazy blanket making thing. And yeah, that's how it is. It doesn't take that long. You know, one hexagon, I can do it in one evening, which is like 3 hours and a half, something. And it's really fun. I'm really enjoying it. And yeah, I'm going to try to keep working at it. I'm not casting on any more bigger projects until I'm done with it, because I do prefer to have a limited amount of work in progress anyway. And I want to complete it because it's going to be such a big thing. And yeah, really liking it. I'm using 60 centimeter needles, by the way. I'm doing magic loop at the beginning here, and then as it expands, I'm slowly able to knit just in the round. And it goes pretty smoothly. And yes, so this is my update on the long forgotten blanket work in progress. I promise to you, I'm on it. Maybe it will actually be finished before the summer. But yeah, I think that's it. I think I've talked about everything that I wanted to talk about. It's going to be quite a long episode. It's going to take forever to export. It doesn't matter. I had lots of fun recording it. I felt really chatty. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for watching it. I wish you a very happy rest of February. I will see you very soon. When you're seeing this episode, I will probably have another one out 1 week after, because I will have some nice things to share again. And yeah, have a nice end of the day, end of the evening, whichever applies to you, and I will see you soon. Bye!